Hello out there, Foxes fans, and welcome back to another edition of the U.S. Foxes podcast, coming to you live, as always, from various parts of the United States. I, as always, am your host, Matt Folks, joined by my three wonderful co-hosts from various parts around the country. I'm in San Diego, so is Chris up here. Chris, how are you doing, my man?
Matt, the sun is shining. I thought I'd go out on the balcony to kind of just
Nice.
reflect the mood I have, mate. Finally, a quality win. Teté stealing the show. You can't ask for much on a Sunday evening, mate. What a weekend.
Teté with a side of nachos, baby. Down in New York City, Jason, how are you doing, my man?
I'm doing all right. I got to say I'm awfully jealous seeing Chris sitting outside in short sleeves. It was pretty Arctic in New York this weekend, but we had some goals and a nice new Brazilian warming us up.
Oh, dude, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, I played 18 earlier this morning, and yeah, I had to take off the jacket by about the 10th hole because of the sunshine. So, don't want to brag, but we'll move on to Jim down in Texas. How are you, dude? Good to see you, man.
I'm doing well, thanks. Good to see you all after missing last week. It was nice. Shame I missed it, but I enjoyed the show and got to be a listener, so that was awesome. And nice to see Chris looking like he's sort of a World Cup correspondent or something out in the sunshine on his balcony right now. So yeah, it's also a little bit warmer here, but in the 70s. It finally got warm after 40 on Thursday.
Oh, geez. Well, I'm glad to hear you're getting a little bit of warmth. And yeah, we missed you. Glad you're feeling better, buddy. And yeah, I know Chris. I told him he has to hold still, or the sunshine's going to completely block him out if he leans like that. So yeah, guys, thanks for joining us.
I thought he was just. I mean, he came back and he's like an angel. So yes. I'm just looking at.
This is what it means when you're optimistic. The sun is always shining, no matter what you do.
Chris is giving off more lens flare than a J.J. Abrams Star Wars movie right now.
Well, thank you guys for wherever you are joining us out there. We're back on schedule, back on our Sunday thing. So hopefully you guys are back here with us. And if not, you can always follow along on the replay or by listening to the pod, whatever you prefer. But either way, thanks for joining us. We've got great things to go over. An amazing, impressive win by the boys, really putting it on. Villa in Birmingham. It was an absolute great performance with all of the opportunities that we've seen all year us piss away, whether it's, you go down early. We've seen the guys hang their heads and just kind of forget about it and just suck it up after that. But man, we saw a team that was resilient. We saw a team that did not quit fighting, and we saw some young guys get a start in a game that we might not have thought that they would get started. Brendan throwing caution to the wind and throwing all three of the new boys in. I guess your thoughts, we'll start with you, Jason, on seeing the new guys in the lineup. As soon as I saw that, I was like, fuck yeah, let's go, BR. Like, let's do this thing. What were your thoughts on the boys getting thrown right into the fire?
Yeah, when I saw the lineup about an hour before kickoff, I think I described it to all of you as quote unquote sexy. And it was exciting. It looked like a really nice, fun attacking formation. We weren't playing with that kind of defensive midfielder slow the game down. Super excited to see Teté, as I'm sure you guys could tell from the last episode and from the flag I have here on the wall. Ian Nacho looked like our best striker, so he was in there. Christensen, his debut looked encouraging. And then, we've been a little shaky in the back. So to have Suter out there also, or Suter, however he's saying it these days, it looked like a really good, really fun lineup. And it was probably what everyone needed for a little pre-match lift, right? Going into the game. I think everybody was going into the game excited to see the new faces.
Definitely. The new squad numbers, just that automatic injection of, okay, new guys in the squad. This is not going to be the same old shit. Jim, your thoughts when you saw the boys up in the lineup?
I think much the same as Jason, really. I think we had some chat in the week amongst the US Foxes group that we hang out with, and we were kind of talking about what's Brendan going to do? Is he going to go to this sort of Arteta / Guardiola inspired play Yuri as number 6, or sort of go to a double pivot. And he went for the double pivot with Dewsbury Hall. We'll get into the game a little bit and the tactics, but seeing the new signings, I think Teté obviously very excited that he was in, get to see what he could do, but more importantly, providing that balance and having sort of a right side that's just, potentially as threatening as a left side. Maddison back in the starting lineup, like a new signing. BDV at left back, he was fantastic, and he looked like he'd been playing with us all season. And then I think for me, Harry Suter coming in and actually starting, we heard he might be injured, and he was just carrying a knock when he signed with us. And whether some of us thought that maybe would he start or not, but he got the nod, and I thought he played pretty well, and he added some solidity. I think we still had a bit of manic defending, but all super excited. Yeah.
That leaves you, Chris, when you saw the lineup, man, which you're just excited as all we were.
Yeah, echo the boys' sentiment there. Yeah, really, really excited. I thought a couple of things stood out to me, and we'll talk more about it. But the decisions he made at the top of the pitch, going with Iheanacho, I thought was really, really exciting. We were pushing him to try and get him more and more into the team, do something different. And to Jim's point about Sutter in the back line, I thought that was really important. It would have been a typical Leicester thing where we sign someone for 15 million and then he's out for 2 weeks as he's getting fit. So the fact they all could play was, I think, just an awesome boost. And you looked at that team sheet and you saw kind of a balance that you've not seen before. And I think going into the game, it was like, holy crap, are we actually going to have some balance? And we're going to be in places where we have players that want to play in those positions. So yeah, it was really, really exciting going into that.
And, I think there's something to be said, too, for one, being in the side, but two, performing after you get into the side. These are guys putting in their first, there's every excuse in the world for them not to perform. And I feel like even, us being Leicester fans would have been guilty of this had they not come out and perform. I can hear the excuses right now coming off my own tongue for them. First time in the Premier League, tough match against Villa. That's a team that these guys are going to struggle again. We always knew they were going to struggle in their first match. Like, I can hear myself making excuses for the guys right now, and they all looked really good. Obviously, Harry Suter would probably not prefer to have an own goal in his debut, but it's certainly not to the caliber of own goals that we've seen so far this year. So let's just, leave that where it was. But, what does it say to you, Chris? We'll go back to you. Just the fact that these guys coming into the Premier League, their first shot under the lights, like the eyes of the entire team are on them. What are your thoughts on the performances that these guys put in?
I mean, yeah, yes and no. I mean, if you look at the team, look at 2 of the 3 signings. Christensen played in the Champions League earlier this year. Sutter played in the World Cup. These boys have performed on the highest stages. So yes, it is a little bit different playing in the Premier League, but the foundations were there as well. And I think one of the things that we have to give credit to this window as well is that this is really the first window with our new transfer team in place. If you remember, in the summer, we had all of that rigmarole around with Southampton negotiating for our new squad, for our new head of recruiting. And this was his first window to get in there. So I'm sure they took that into account in the process, Matt. But I mean, especially Christensen, and I think we'll talk more about him as well. But to your point, 20 years old, comes in, looks mature, looks like he's been there, done that. It was, a revelation out there, mate.
Jason, looks like you wanted to say something, bud.
Yeah, well, let's not leave out Teté Shakhtar, man. They kicked the crap out of Madrid in the Champions League. So this guy's got experience at playing against top opposition, and he does not look out of place at all. And I think we all knew that he was good. He's either going to be a boom or a bust. But I think pretty much every fan to a T who was watching any bit of football, had very high expectations for this guy. I was very excited to see him. So, yes, Teté. Don't forget, don't leave that man out of the list of elites and playing against elite opposition.
You brought up a great point too, talking about the return of James Madison. Chris, Jim, speak for a minute on just the difference that he makes, especially when we see him returning, to a more central role like we did.
Well, obviously, he links the play, his vision's there. I thought he actually was a little bit rusty at the start. You could tell he needed some minutes. And he was, I was a bit worried he was doing his sort of, he was getting crocked a lot. I think there was an early challenge on him when he took the ball and he did his classic, turn and tried to break away. And he got smashed into the hip and he was down for a little while too. And, but I think the way he brings the team together cohesively is fantastic. Obviously he took his goal was really, really well taken. I think the composure he showed to kind of hold on to it after that sort of frenetic tackle from Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall, getting it to Nacho looking up and just sort of slide rule passing it to Madison. And for one moment I thought, oh no, it's Harvey Barnes going to hit it first time and sky it over the bar, especially, after the start we had. But, seeing Madison sort of do that little, fake to shoot, give himself a second and then slot it home was amazing. But I think that to me, it was the balance of the front four that gave us, supreme, kept us in the game. We scored more goals than them and we didn't defend great, but we won and 3 points. And it's great to see that that's probably going to be hopefully our attacking four for a little while now.
Yeah, you'd take where we are in the season, that you would really take those 3 points, and especially against a team like Villa that's down there. We talked about it earlier last week. These games against teams where we're down in the muck and the mire with them, we've got to be able to perform. Jason, looking, just your overall thoughts of the match. We come out, we see them get ahead, and it would have been real easy, like I said, for us to drop our head, but we didn't do that. We just kept firing. So just give me your overall thoughts on how we came out.
I think we looked good attacking. I think we were awful defending. We gave up a lot, I think, but luckily for us, I think Villa were even worse at finishing. That was a pretty terrible performance from them. They had plenty of looks at goal. They had a lot of quality chances and just couldn't do anything with it, and really let us off the hook multiple times. We have a real knack for just playing just awful football matches with Villa. The quality is just so bad sometimes. That 0-0 draw, at the end of last season, was one of the worst games of football I think I've ever seen. And so we didn't come out looking, I think, particularly great. I think we were just trying to kind of we were a little slow. Villa had the played with initiative and aggression, and it took us a little time to kind of get up to speed there. But luckily for us, I don't know. You've got defenders who can't pass the ball, trying to play the ball out of the back, and they just gifted us a goal. And we didn't really create a whole lot leading up to that, to that chance. So I think it's a mixed bag. I think we had some really great, bright attacking play. Loved just seeing Teté out there was just the missing link since Mahrez had left, and it makes football a lot more fun to watch. I thought KDH was excellent and just really very active all over the pitch. We looked very good pressing. Iheanacho, I thought, was unbelievable. I thought he had a fantastic game. Showed why he needs to play. Don't let just the Brazilian flag fool you there too. I got one of these too for Senior Man. He deserves it as well. But we kept giving up this kind of a lot on the right side, behind Castagna. So we just looked shaky there. So there were enough positives, and there was enough just shittiness from Villa that it all added up to a 4-2 win or 2-4 win to Leicester.
It was one of those games where we've seen all year long. If that offense that we had yesterday was not in place, we get our asses beat and lose that game. But because of these new signings, because of him giving Nacho a chance, we actually saw some offense, Chris. And yeah, that's a game that we lose all year long, except
100%.
obviously 100%. Now the change has been made.
Yeah, 100%. I think echo Jason's points, completely agree. I thought going forward, we looked after the first 10, 15 minutes where it was a little bit lackluster. I thought last 65, 75 minutes, we looked pretty aggressive going forward. Defensively, yeah, all over the shop. Hopefully it's something where you've got two new lads back there. It's going to take time for people to gel. I mean, it's a new defensive centre midfield partnership between Faust and Suda. You hope that's going to get better. I think that triangle of communication between those two and Ward is something that needs to improve quickly for us to be able to not concede sloppy goals and maybe be a bit more aggressive in terms of positioning, closing things down. Couple of their goals, I thought defense, especially that second, the own goal, I thought KDH could have closed him down a bit quicker, stopped the cross coming in. But yeah, aggressively going forward, I thought we were great. Echo the sentiment there. I think having Teté out there gives you that natural width. It spreads the game. I think defensively as well, having him there allows us to, if you looked at times, you could see almost like a 4-4-2 we were doing as we were defending as well. And that's the first time I've seen that all season. Typically, when you look at us defending off the ball, it's a mess. You've never got those lines as such. So it was great to kind of see that as well defensively. And I'd just say as well, I thought Christensen was fantastic. Composure for the third goal, we'll talk about a bit. The second goal, we'll talk about a bit more. But I thought he put in a solid 70, 75 minutes, considering for him, this is the start of his season. I mean, they were preseason training, getting back into the swing of things, and to put in a shift like that on your second game back, super impressive.
It was cool to see him go up and meet up with his family in the stands after. You could see it really mean a lot to not only him but his family as well. So yeah, BDV big match for him, and really excited to see him just kind of lock it down. Seeing him get forward like he did. There were multiple times where, I was like, Jesus, who is that? Oh, number 16. He's on the far side of the field. So he definitely has a tendency to get forward, which is exciting. But he can also track back very well. So I'm really excited for what we can see coming out of the young Dane. And yeah, to your point too, Chris, to see just the offense not just coming down the left side of the field with Harvey, but actually on the right side now, and watching Castagnier and Teté kind of do shit up and down that right side of the field. That's the side of the field we haven't seen much action on yet this year, Jim. So quite the difference there to see, more than one side of the field being played.
Yeah, and looking at the stats, we actually had more attacking play down the right, which I think is the first time in probably maybe since Riyadh
6 years.
I think with but I think like 43% was down the right, and yeah, like I think the other thing is having him it helped. He kind of started that he was mixed with how much he wanted to defend. I think that their goal, he kind of sort of ran alongside and sort of looked at them before the cross came in. I don't blame him for going and cutting inside up front, but he kind of got back to position. Then he didn't really do anything from there. And like talking about defending or lack of it thereof in this game, Villa were woeful. We were woeful. I think the first, like as Chris said, the first sort of 20 minutes, I don't think we had a centre midfield that was defending. I was looking really carefully at how the midfield was shaping up, and it kind of looked like, I was puzzled. Dewsbury Hall was playing right centre mid, and Yuri playing left centre mid. But, I'd expect them, they were way too far apart. Look at the first goal. Buendia was just on his own for the shot. There was a couple of times they waltzed through. It looked like we were kind of, KDH thought we were playing 4-3-3 and he was the right midfielder. Madison kind of half thought he was playing sort of semi-left centre midfield for a little bit of that. And then sort of Yuri would just go wherever he wanted. And if Yuri was carrying the ball forward, no, KDH was not dropping in behind him. And so, because his game is pressing up front. And I think what we saw is Yuri kind of got drawn into the ball. There was a lot of like playground, chase the ball scenario that I saw, but I think we settled in. I think, hopefully that's fair play to the Brendan and the team. But yeah, their first goal was like, the shot was great. Hitting the bar, Danny Ward taking a nap before he decided to stand back up. And by the time he stood back up, it was too late. Watkins had put the ball in the back of the net. But we showed so much resolve to get back, 3 minutes later with, thanks to Villa gifting us, gifting it more. I half gifting, but also really big credit to KDH doing what he does do, which is that really high press, which Jason talked about earlier. I can get detailed into some of the mechanics, but
no, it's great. Like that's such a good point. I mean, KDH's press there, and not only to do the press, but then to finish the play. I feel like we've seen that play this year where somebody does the work to press the ball, and then the guys aren't ready for it. Like nobody's paying attention that we actually have a guy pressing and it just squirts off to the side. Whereas we had a play there this time ready to go and ready to attack, Chris. And yeah, that things like that, just alertness, readiness.
Yeah, and I think that comes from preparation as well. Like if you look at Emre's side, they like to do that. Villa like to do that a lot. They're very aggressive in the way they distribute the ball. And so I think that probably was a tactical decision to press high and press in those situations. So yeah, kudos to echo Jim's point. Maybe kudos to Brendan there and the team for getting that right and contributing there.
Finishing definitely was a theory of the day. We even speak about Teté, and we sure he's got that Champions League experience and all that. But the fact is, he's in Villa on his debut, on his goal. To see that little cutback, I could see Martinez is also a keeper that can get in your head. I was very, very excited to see his finishing because that could have been one where I could see him squirt. Almost had two. That other one that he had, the little curler that just bounced right outside, man. He scores 2 on his debut. I think I might have ordered 2 shirts for him. If you were following along, I immediately ordered the Teté shirt after that goal. I wonder how many other people did. Moving along from there, Jason, let's start to talk about where we think that this midfield is going to go. We spoke, it kind of looked weird. We weren't sure if anybody was playing defense in the beginning game. I think that was Jim that you spoke of. With this offense obviously looks a little bit more powerful and a little bit more threatening than it has. What are your thoughts? We spoke last week about what the midfield grouping and pairings were going to be after yesterday's match. Anything in your mind about who you think is going to be most effective to keep this offense humming, but as well provided some defensive support?
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that Ndidi gets healthy and kind of gets back to his best at some point. I'm hoping that the injuries are kind of what has caused that dip in form. But we do need a defensive midfielder to kind of clean up the mess where we're playing so many kind of like players who want to get forward and want to play more attacking and aren't necessarily the best at tracking back. So you need that player in there. But that's the best until he's healthy. That's the best midfield three we're going to play. Just because they're all can do something with the ball. Various levels of mobility. Yuri can pick out a pass. He has gotten better on the defensive side. KDH all action all the time, and then Madison gives you that magic. And we've just been playing very slow, tedious football for so long now, and I just think that putting Mendy in this role is just going to slow us down a little too much. And you could see when we were trying to hold on to the lead, made those personnel changes, put him on, we immediately kind of go into a shell there, and just it seems like we're just praying to get through those last 25 minutes. Well, I know I was. So.
Yeah, I was there with you, Jace. Yeah, I think we were kind of all like, why is he making those subs? We could kind of see Madison needed to come off. He wasn't healthy, and I think Pratt was the right call. But then to see Nacho having such a great game and with his ability to hold the ball up, and Dewsbury Hall, I don't think he did look tired. I think he was getting stronger throughout the match as well. I think you can kind of see why Mendy comes on just to give that sort of screen. But immediately he did that. He kind of got the ball. He tried to go down the left-hand side and then stopped after he ran about 10 yards. He could have played it down the line and Bardens could have gone and chased it, and it would have put them under pressure. But he stopped, looked back, tried to play a pathetic pass to Christensen that was intercepted. And I think luckily the Villa player wasn't even expecting that move from him, and we got it back. But yeah, Jason, I agree with you on the team. I think this is the best team that we've got with the players available. I think pretty much there's a case for us. This is our best 11 that we have, period. Like if the way that Ndidi's been off form, but I can't see who you drop. Maybe you drop Barnes in a game when we need to have more defensive solidity, and Maddison goes sort of left midfield now, and you bring in someone like Ndidi and you play a 3, or you play Dewsbury Hall out there or something. But I think if we'd have played like we did yesterday against Spurs, who are coming up, I don't think we have got back into the game. A team that can organize themselves is worrying. And but Dewsbury Hall, he not only got the first, caused the first assist, but he also was involved in the second goal. He pinged that crossfield pass he hit to Harvey Barnes, who then laid it off to Christensen, and then that sort of interlink. And then Barnes to, I want to point out again, Villa, terrible defending, leaving Kelechi Iheanacho unmarked 5 yards out, 4 yards out. But again, I'm taking it. It was a good footballing goal after a mad scramble goal, and it was beautifully taken.
Definitely. Chris, your thoughts on we saw somebody, we thought he was going to Atletico Madrid. We thought the bags were completely packed. Haven't seen him in a while. Then all of a sudden, Soyuncu comes on as a sub. Did that surprise you?
It was the epitome of a meathead performance, wasn't it? I mean, what was his first thing? It was to take the Villa player into row Z right in front of the Leicester fans. I mean, don't get me wrong. You 4-2 up, you G up the away end and get the lads singing a bit more. It's a great thing. But to your guys' point, when you see that decision being made and you're like, okay, we're going to go 3 at the back and try and just wallpaper paste this shot, it just doesn't really work. Like some of the substitutions were a little bit confusing, but to echo Jim's point about especially the second goal, I thought the build up on that left hand side was fantastic. The ball itself on Barnes, he didn't do much this game, but I think one of the things in that moment, the quality of that ball, and I mean, if it wasn't for the fact that Villa decided to leave Iheanacho unmarked on the 6-yard line, is just crazy. But I think it was a great goal, and I think it led to the third. And I think shout out to Rob Tanner for this one. He talked earlier in the week about one of the things that Teté kind of potentially brought to us was that idea of running behind and getting off those passes. And it turns out, I think today, Leicester LCFC on social media posted that little video of Ricardo talking to him, like, just run behind. Iheanacho's going to get the ball, go behind. And look, has it. I mean, it was a great setup, great ball by Iheanacho, and it's a great finish to take us into the break 3-2 up.
Yeah, Jason was speaking last week about the Portuguese connection on the right side, and then to see that come to fruition is pretty dope, huh?
Yeah, man, I'm trying not to get too far ahead of myself, but I'm going to go miles and miles ahead. I keep thinking about the possibility of a fully fit Ricardo playing with Teté on that right side, even if it's just for like 45 minutes the last game of the season.
Yeah, those two swapping in and out, it could be very, very nasty. And so please get healthy soon.
It's going to be like a Lloyd Dyer with Jeff Schlupp.
Ooh.
Bringing it back. The left-hand side that was 2 games.
Absolutely. Let's dive in then, guys. Let's talk about Denny Pratt's goal. Out of nowhere, number 26 gets his shot called into the fire, and he does well with his chance. I was impressed to see another player that hasn't gotten chances. Could definitely be down on himself, but he comes through and puts in a shift, Chris. We're into the subs now. So what are your thoughts on the young Belgian?
I think it's the epitome of just like awful defending.
Yeah,
I mean,
every goal.
They were done at that point, dude.
Well, Tete's goal.
He lets him goal side, which is like rule 101 of don't let the player goal side of you in that situation, and then to miss it. But yeah, to your point, Matt, I mean, composure in that situation to take it around, Martinez stick it in. I think it was a huge goal in the moment because after that, once the second half had started, you could see Villa again pressing. There was an urgency, and it kind of at that point really killed the game and kind of just silenced everyone. So it was a huge goal, a great finish by Dennis Pratt. I mean, in those situations, we could have imagined a few of the less players on that pitch skying it over the bar. But it was, really good finish. But yeah, just awful defending again.
Good timing for it to happen, man. I couldn't have, because Martinez is one of those goalies as we saw in the World Cup. Like after he makes a few saves in a row, the motherfucker just gets cockier and better. And the fact we were able to get some finishes past him and put him in his place was
I seem
great.
to remember him actually saving. Was it in the final, or was it in the semi? I think it was in the semi-final, where it was a 1-on-1, and he kind of like stuck it. He did his big sort of Schmeichel.
No, it was the final against France.
Oh,
like right in the closing minutes when they had a chance to tie it up, he made that one-on-one save. That incredible.
He does it quite a bit, for sure.
Great goalie, and one of those guys you cannot allow to get any confidence. So,
there's Argentina Martinez, and then there's Aston Villa Martinez. I think they are slightly different in terms of abilities.
Yeah, the slightly different team ahead of him as well.
Yeah, just a little bit, just a little bit. So yeah, guys, we've covered the goals. We've covered the defense or lack thereof of defense.
Can we talk about? I don't think we talked about Tete's goal actually.
We did. Yeah, dialing.
But Chris, Jim seems like
Jim.
We didn't talk about something he wants to talk about. So let's hear it, Jim.
Yeah, man.
I think we're just waiting for the Rob Tanner samba skills dancing right up, aren't we, when we read it? But I think he took his goal beautifully, and rounding Martinez and South American needle. He in the who can hold their composure longer South America edition. It was our player Teté.
It was the goal had a bit of everything, right? Had the press, had a good press, missed the tackle, but then the Villa player trips over the ball, which was outstanding again. So had a good press, had a Villa screw up. Iheanacho, when the ball gets to Iheanacho, I mean that immediate Teté just knew, and I guess maybe Ricardo had told him, make that diagonal run. He covered a lot of ground. He got there quickly. Iheanacho played a great ball, and Teté's finish was beautiful. I think that goal deserves the extra bit of time. So, and thank you, Jim, for.
You're welcome. Of course, I could talk about that goal all night. But I think that's the thing that Iheanacho brings, that he can link up the play.
Yes,
and we've talked about this in earlier pods. That certain substitutions when he should have come on, he could either slow down the game, hold up the game. I think one of the things he showed against Villa, because they were playing quite a high line as well, he showed the physicality against Konza and Mings, who are Mings especially, who's very strong, very quick. But I think he also showed that he was pretty quick over sort of the distance as well. That I think he's got an underrated amount of pace. And there are a few balls where he was chasing down, he was putting them under pressure. He gave away a couple of silly fouls, but it actually took the pressure off our team by resetting the play, resetting the ball, and Villa had to stop what was happening right in their half, right on their own 18, where he does that. And I kind of like his sort of intelligence to give away those sort of fouls that do stop the game, stop momentum from the other opposition as well. And I think, Jason, you said at the start, he is I think by head and shoulders best striker this season by a long shot. And I can't imagine, unfortunately, Vardy or Daka participating in the way that he did yesterday either.
Yeah, it's things can change.
Of course.
Certainly, he goes through his patches where he doesn't always play great, but I think the debate is over right now. Unless I mean, if you guys feel differently, I'd love to hear it. But Iheanacho, this team is better with Iheanacho in the side and on the pitch. I don't know how I don't know what anyone could say right now to convince me otherwise.
And I think he showed it. I think we're all kind of dumbfounded when he showed it COVID season, and he was our top scorer. And then the next season he's out of the team again, and then he sort of comes back, and he's 2 games in a row he scored now. Obviously, in the FA Cup and now in the league, 2 assists as well. So, like, what can he do?
He's always going to blow that easy chance. He did it against Walsall, but then makes the other goal happen. He takes his goal really well, makes 2 other goals happen, and then probably should have gotten that 1v1 on frame and didn't.
Yeah.
But you can forgive him for that when he's playing like this, when he's linking up the play, making so much happen, and just making the squad look better. He's gonna have he's gonna miss his sitter. Probably going to happen every game, but you got to take that with Iheanacho.
Ask you guys this question. What do you think made Brendan start him on Saturday? Do you think it was just because the 2 other strikers were completely out of form? Or do you think, given some of the chat that we had during the week, that there was this natural propensity for when we were looking at the side, that if we were going to be balanced, we'd like to see someone like Iheanacho start? I'm really interested because one of the fears I have is, to you guys' point, is that Nacho goes and misses one, or he has one of those bad games coming up, and then all of a sudden Brendan's just want to pull that plug again and get him out the team as quick as he could. So I'm interested where you think that kind of the idea manifested itself for him starting on Saturday.
I mean, I have my ideas. I don't know if Brendan agrees with any of them, but and why I think that Iheanacho belongs in the side. And I think Barnes has had a difficult time. Let's not, beat around the bush in terms of getting room. He's still, if you can't argue with his production, compare him to any other winger in the league. The numbers are great, but he's not, at his best and doesn't have the room to kind of run and kind of play instinctively. He's having to think a lot on the ball. So now with Teté out there on the right side, Madison back in the lineup, I think if you play a striker that's just kind of hanging on the back shoulder of the defender, where then again, and you've got, with 2 inverted wingers, we're kind of closing down the space again and getting in each other's way. Iheanacho is a player that can kind of suck the defense forward and make that space, over the top, or for those speedy wingers to kind of run and be more direct. So there's a bit of that. I think whoever we've been, Daka or Vardy just haven't looked very good. Iheanacho has gotten his goals when he has played, and we are missing a bit of that physicality that we need, I think, with our number 9. Daka gets bullied a bit. Vardy's, maybe he's lost a little bit of a step. Who knows? I'm sure he'll come back and surprise everyone again at some point this year. So you kind of need a bigger body in there that's kind of like, go toe to toe with some of these defenders and hold the ball for a little bit to give someone else a chance, or to let the play kind of develop. When you have strikers that are getting bumped off the ball left, right, and center, you can't really do that.
You agree with that, Chris? I mean, it does seem like the writing was on the wall as far as like, Brendan, this kid's got to play at this point.
Yeah.
I think it would be a riot too, right? If he doesn't.
Right.
I was hoping there was more nuance from Brendan Rodgers' standpoint after the game, talking about how he thought Nacho was the key piece to keep the shape. But I think, echo Jason's points there, I totally agree. I think the physicality he brings up the top end of the pitch is something that we desperately need up there. He's not afraid to, like you said, commit an occasional foul here or there just I think one thing that we have to echo, Tyrone Mings looked rattled again. It seems to be a common thing about playing Leicester. Mings was rattled in the first half. He didn't, and this guy is an England call-up. He gets in the England squad. I think he went to the World Cup, but against us, he gets rattled every time. And that's probably a combination of, yeah, Vardy in the past, but Nacho playing up there this time. And I think the more we can have that physicality, I think also, especially at home, the fans will see that. There'll be more, the fans will get behind him. And I think that can only do wonders to try and help us just try and get a bit more home form and get some more points and go up this league.
But yeah, sorry, Matt.
No, go ahead, buddy.
What I think Nacho did after we had that ropey 20 minutes is he went and got the ball.
Yeah.
And one of the things that he kind of came out to the right wing and he's like, hey, Teté, you can come in. Or, and he goes and he goes and occupies someone else's space and kind of tells them to go where they need to go. And I think that that intelligence allowed us to change from we were like the first 15, like before the goal, or maybe just after the goal, we were just forcing the ball through. Like it was trying to play passes really quickly that were low probability. I think Matt Piper's talked a lot about this on Radio Leicester about Yuri looks up and he tries these passes and they don't always come through, but he was trying to force it through. KDH does that sometimes as well. Even now we have Suter and Wout Fass. They like to play these balls through as well, and they were trying to force it, and it wasn't working. So we kind of slowed it down. And I think one of the things we started doing was sort of linking through. Actually, I feel like some of our best chances weren't the goals; they were things that we kind of created through that link up. And like you said, the curler from Teté, if it had gone in when he bent it, I think Iheanacho had one as well that he tried. Maddison had one, I think, that went over the bar. There was, I think Harvey Barnes was kind of in at one point too. And so that to me was the difference that he brought to the team of that link up play with the other four. And he can kind of drop in and do a Maddison if Maddison goes and plays number 9. And yeah, exactly. Jason's holding up his Nigeria flag again. And that's what I love about him in the team and especially with these players around him as well, that we can do that. I think you need from your sort of, I'm going to say modern center forward now who can kind of come and do that. So, but Matt, we didn't ask you, what do you think about the team and like Nacho? You always ask us the questions and we need to.
Yeah, man.
Well, it's the hosting duties. No, I was just excited to see some threatening fucking soccer again. From a team that has been nothing but just flaccid and just sad. And it's just like, for how long have we just sat back and been taken to and like had to hear the opposing fans talk shit and sing shit and literally just have to sit there and take it, because it wasn't even like back in the day where it was like, yeah, but you guys know what's going to happen if Vardy gets through on your back line. Those days aren't even there anymore. Like we're just such a team with no threat, and there was no, there used to be like, we would play the other supporter groups in the bars, they'd be like, fuck, like we know any moment though, even when they would score, they would be fearful of our offense, like just one little break happening. And it's been so long since we've had any semblance of that. It's been get the ball to Harvey, go down, Harvey sprays it wherever the fuck it goes around the net. It might go in, and sweet if it does. Or before Maddison was hurt, it's get Maddison the ball, maybe he's going to do something brilliant, and if not, we're fucked. Or get the ball to Yuri if he's going to shoot from 30 yards, if it goes in, amazing, or he's going to hit the bar. Like that was our offense going forward. So just the fact that now there are more threats than, just those two and three really. I'm just so excited for what now we can see. I mean, shit, guys, take a look. That's 3 games undefeated. I know it's small. I know it's, Walsall's one counts for one of those, but it is 3 games undefeated. It's a draw against Brighton, and now we have an injection of new blood, new offense, new defense, and maybe it is, it is the biggest January window we've ever had. It is the first Brazilian player we've ever had. So fuck it, guys. Like, we've got the writing on the wall here for a turnaround in the season. And yeah, we saw some weird results happen today, but Leeds lost. And that's the kind of stuff we're going to need going forward. And man, may it continue that this team, because the run of games coming up, guys, where, you know, Tottenham, Man U next, we're going to need something. So to answer your point, I'm excited. It's the most excited I've been in quite a long time. And yeah, I think these are the perfect signings at the perfect time, Jim. And what a great harbinger of the future that just we got to see yesterday.
Yeah, we need that feel good factor back because there's a rough run of games coming up. Tottenham, you know, that'll be tough. Look what they just did against Man City. So it will be great to see, you know, hopefully tons of Brazilian flags everywhere. Kind of need that excitement, that buzz is back.
Yeah, man.
Tricky right ringers there. I mean, some of the things that he was doing along that right side were great. But also, like Iheanacho as a character, when he's on, like he's just such a likable dude. He's just hilarious. When he gets his chances to do his post-match interviews, like you really want him to do well, right?
Yeah.
And so like that attitude is back. Hopefully, the positivity is there and around the club. Really seems like also Teté is just like really loves being at Leicester. Like he showed up. He seems to be blown away by the facilities at Seagrave. Seems like he's really taking to his teammates. His teammates are really excited about him. You could just see that like release that he had when he scored the goal. And he was like punt, like doing like shadow boxing, and he did a slide. He was just so pumped, and then
the
Iheanacho
shitty
kind of,
Mahrez half roll slide.
like,
Yeah,
honestly, if we couldn't be like, that was perfect. Like honest, like that's what we've been waiting for the Mahrez replacement. He goes, plays a brilliant game on the right side, left-footed player, takes his goal, failed knee slide. I was there at the Etihad for that goal. In that 3-1 win, and just to see that again, kind of bringing back that feeling, was special, and I think made me happy. I think the game was all over the place, but that you can't help but still to feel really good about how we came out of that.
Yeah, I think, yeah, Jim, what were you going to say, buddy?
I just agree, 100%, absolutely.
I'm glad. I'm excited to feel threatening again. I feel like
we're glowing. Like Chris is literally glowing with his
halo. 100%, boys. 100%.
With the sun behind him there. We are like, you can see it in our faces.
I think one thing that you guys brought up, yes, the fixture run's tough, but I don't know about you guys, but I'm going in it with a whole new invigorated outlook on it. Like if you'd asked me 3 weeks ago, okay, we've got Tottenham, United, City, and Arsenal coming up over the next month and a half, I would have been like, all right, we're getting nothing. And yes, we may get nothing out of this. But to me, now, if one of those teams has a stinker, if one of those teams doesn't show up, and there's an opportunity there for us to go and do a smash and grab, we've now got the capabilities, I think, to do that. So I think from that standpoint, yes, it's going to be a tough run of fixtures moving forward. But to your guys, what you guys said, great, this podcast, there are now mechanisms in place that we might be able to go sneak a draw, grab a goal, get 3 points. And that's just going to be huge for us from a momentum and a positive mindset moving forward for the rest of the year.
Great point, Chris. Totally agree with you. I mean, we've got players that can make a moment of magic happen out of nothing. And that's what you need against these sides that, that are coming at you with, with stacked rosters. Yeah. So kind of always makes you feel like you've got a puncher's chance.
All you had to do, guys, was crank up the volume on your TV and listen to what ROAN sounded like. That's the best that ROA fans have sounded in a long ass time. They were loud as shit. And you could hear Vichai Had a Dream echoing around the bar in San Diego. And that's all you have to say. Like that, this is, I mean, just that sound alone told me everything I need to know about where the club is headed right now and the trajectory that these new guys in the life that has been injected into the club. So I'm excited. Sounds like you guys are excited. I hope the rest of the US Foxes are excited. because I think we've got a little different trajectory now, possibly. Talk to me next week, and we'll see where we.
Yeah, we're playing Tottenham, who we always have really great results against recently.
Exactly.
I did just doing a little bit of homework, and Spurs have only scored 3 counter-attack goals this season, and I think they were all against us.
Probably all against us. Probably all.
So I think one of the things is they've not been a counter-attacking side this season, but I feel like us being at home, this is going to be the thing we're going to have to watch for. Like if we play like we did yesterday, pushing up as many players, we got to keep tight right in the middle, and really kind of force them out wide. They've actually been pretty ridiculously strong aerially, which kind of is another thing that makes me think like I'm glad Suter's like in the team. He did show some of that. Like also looking at the stats yesterday, Villa had 9 blocked shots. So I'm not saying all of them were great chances, but there was some manic defending. So, but yeah, I think like I'm really looking forward to next Saturday. Like this is making me, like as Matt, as you said, this is kind of like the week can't go quick enough now to kind of get to the next game and actually see, another week of training with our new signings. Hopefully, like some fitness. Maybe not sure when Ricardo's maybe going to get some minutes in his legs. Like Christensen super excites me as a solid left back. That was, Suter was organizing and pointing and sort of creating some presence, even though he was, not really sort of up to 100% speed, I don't think. So if we can get some good corners in, I think he's got a chance on that. A little bit worried that our left back's taking our corners, and then what does that mean defensively? Like who's hanging back? But onwards and upwards. Let's get a goal from a corner. We've got a 6'6" centre back now. Come on, let's get one.
That's it.
Well, one more.
So three things, right? We all wanted, right? Like we used to get this back in the day, but so number one, winning an FA Cup, right? I think none of us ever imagined winning the Premier League. It was too far-fetched. An FA Cup, finally getting that FA Cup. Mm-hmm. Number two, signing a Brazilian, right? And I mean that's right up there for me as like the things that I dreamed about as a Leicester fan. And now this is a more recent one, which doesn't really happen very much, but scoring off an offensive corner, just putting it right on a defender's head and letting him. We used to do it all the time, and
we grew up with it.
Jim, you're just you talking about that and. That's my next dream. So there are 2 things that I've been really kind of
Jason's
imagining in my head. Suter scoring off of a corner, and the possibility that Ricardo might play on the right side with Teté.
That could be magic, guys.
If
so
both of those things happen, we finish 17th this season. Is a success for me.
And then we sign an amazing goalkeeper in the summer.
There we go.
Yeah, fuck.
Man. Let's not talk about that today.
Well, there were moments of good and just moments of Danny, and it is what it is. We just got to score more goals than the other team. That needs to be it going forward, guys. It's pretty simple. On that note, guys, so a big one against Tottenham next week. Anything else, boys, that Chris, Jason, Jim, anything else you want to touch on before we send the gang off for another week? Sounds good. All right. Then for Jim, Chris, and Jason, love you, boys. Thank you so much for joining us. And guys, get ready next week because it's going to be a big one. And we will be back next Sunday, same time, usually right around 4:00 Pacific. That's 7 Eastern. And thanks for joining us as always on the US Foxes podcast. For Chris, Jason, and Jim, I, as always, am your host, Matt, and we will see you next time on the US Foxes podcast. Cheers, boys.